Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi everyone, good morning. How are you doing? I hope you're doing good. Anyway, today it is our turn to explain to you guys about our material today, that is cooperative learning model. But before we start our explanation, let me introduce the members of the second group. Start from Novita Ika Prasetya as the third presenter, and then Husnia as the second presenter, and then Nuraziliana as the seventh presenter, and me, myself, Muhammad Anjur Sugandi, as the first speaker, and Dina Ayusia Rahmi as the fourth speaker, and Siti Zahro as the fifth speaker, and last is Eka Rohimah as the sixth speaker. Alright, let's get going. Is anyone know what cooperative learning model about? Okay, to begin with, cooperative learning is a successful teaching strategy in which small teams, each with students of different levels of ability, use a variety of learning activities to improve their understanding of a subject. Each member of a team is responsible not only for learning what is taught, but also for helping teammates, thus creating an atmosphere of achievement. So, what I'm trying to say to you guys is, for example, if you guys as a students, you work in a group, if there are some of your friends who still don't understand about the material yet, it is your duty to help your friends to understand the material. It is very important to do that because the main point of this model is the students work through the assignment until all the group members successfully understand. And we have to keep in mind that cooperative learning involves students learning from each other in a groups. But it is not the group configuration that makes cooperative learning distinctive. So the important thing is the way that students and the teachers work together. And there are three learning objectives in this cooperative learning model. The first is academic learning outcomes, and the second is acceptance of diversity, and last is the development of social skill. So, if we apply this learning model to the class, the student will not only get the academic learning outcomes, but indirectly they will also get the social skills. So that is very important for the students. I think that's all from me, and move to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Husniah, my number is 009. Here I will try to continue on this explanation. There are 6 characteristics of cooperative learning models based on Johnson and Smith's explanation in their book under title Cooperation in the College Classroom 1991. The first is positive interdependence. You will know when you have succeeded in structuring positive interdependence when students perceive that they sink or swim together. This can be achieved through mutual goals, divisions of labor, dividing materials, roles, and by making part of each student's grade dependent on the performance of the rest of the group. Group members must believe that each person's efforts benefit not only him or herself, but all group members as well. The second one is individual accountability. The essence of individual accountability in cooperative learning is students learn together but perform alone. This ensures that no one can hitchhike of the work of others. A lesson's goals must be clear enough that students are able to measure whether the group is successful in achieving them, and individual members are successful in achieving them as well. The third is face-to-face promotive interaction. Important cognitive activities and interpersonal dynamics only occur when students promote each other's learning. This includes oral explanations of how to solve problems, discussing the nature of the concepts being learned, and connecting present learning with past knowledge. It is through face-to-face promotive interaction that members become personally committed each other as well as to their mutual goals. The fourth is appropriate collaborative skills. Students are encouraged and helped to develop and practice trust building, leadership, decision making, communication, and conflict management. The fifth is group processing. Team members set up group goals, periodically assess what they are doing well as a team, and identify changes they will make to function more effectively in the future. And the last one is heterogeneous groups. Means that individuals benefit the most from working with people different from themselves. Okay, I think enough for me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Okay, next I want to explain about the lesson planning, about cooperative learning methods. Before I explain about lesson plan, let me give explanation. If the lesson plan we take from Indonesia and then the video we take from Western. So in the beginning of the lesson plan, there is a little bit different with the video, but the methods that we use in the lesson plan mostly equal. And the RPP apply in SD Tlokojoyo Malang and class 5 in semester 1. There are 4 points. The first is about competency standards. Understand text by reading conversational text, speed reading 75 words or minutes, and reading poetry. And point 2, basic competence. That is, read conversational text with proper pronunciation and intonation. And point 3, there is indicator. There are 3 points. The first is cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. And the point cognitive, there are 2 points. The first is read conversational text with proper pronunciation and intonation. And the second, compose simple conversational text. And point 2, affective. The students must discipline in the following learning. And then dare to read simple conversation, and the third, communicative in the learning process. And the point 4, about teaching methods and techniques, about cooperative learning, or we can call discussion. Okay, next I want to explain about the learning objective. There are 3 learning objectives. The first is the students are able to make interesting conversation. Interesting, it means the students can make the creative idea, innovative idea to make the conversation. And the second, students can practice reading conversational text with the group. They can practice with their friend or their partner. And the third, the students can read conversational text in the book with correct pronunciation and intonation, boldly and communicatively. Communicatively, it means that the students can understand about the other students speak about the conversation, and it means understandable.
Here we would like to describe the activities during the class. And the first activity is opening. First, teacher opened the class with salam and greetings. Second, teacher asked students' condition and checked the students' attendances. Third, teacher asked students' readiness for following the class. And last, teacher delivered the objective or the purpose of lessons today. And that is about dialogue. This opening activity takes time for about 7 minutes. The second activity is main activity. It is divided into 2 activities, exploration and confirmation. In exploration activity, teacher gives the explanation about dialogue. Second, teacher do the Q&A activity with students. And the third, teacher divides the students into 5 groups, which have 4 members in a group. Then teacher gives the theme for each group. They are never give up, we can do it, train our brain, we like a challenge, and effort. Next, students do the discussion in group, build the interaction each other, and give their opinions. And last, teacher controlling students' ways in learning and doing the task. Then, in confirmation activity, there are three activities. First, practice activity. Teacher asks students to read the dialogue that they have made. Second, teacher and students discuss about the practice activity that they have already finished. And third, teacher asks the material that they don't understand yet. This activity need time 50 minutes. And the last is closing. First, teachers and students make a conclusion about the material. Second, students do the evaluation task and collect it in front of the class. And third, teachers close the class by praying together and salam. It takes time for about 13 minutes. And these lesson activities are based on our example video.
Alright, okay, my name is Iti Zahro. I'm the next presenter. In this section, I will carry on the next material from the lesson planning, that is media and the sources of learning. Okay, the first one is the dialogue. The teacher has to prepare the proper dialogue for the media of learning. The teacher can also use the authentic material that consists of daily dialogue or daily sentences that the students can use, so the students can practice it right away in their daily activities. And the second one is module. Of course, because it contains all the material that the student needs to learn, so they can have another sources for their learning process except from the teacher or the dialogue from the teacher. Okay. Actually, the sources or the media that we put in the lesson planning only dialogue and module. But in fact, there is not only this, let alone in this pandemic era, which we need to do everything from home, we can use internet as the sources of the learning, and we can, the daily activities that happen around the students can also be the sources of their learning. Okay, the next one is teammates. Because in cooperative learning model, the students need to learn in team, so the teammates need to have a responsible for each member. So when one of them cannot catch or getting stuck or something, the teammates can help them to grasp and to give new information to each teams. And the last one is from teachers. As the stimulator, the teacher can give some recommendations, or some clues so that the students can reflect, or maybe some students forget about something, so the teachers can remind them, and or they do something wrong, so the teacher can fix it, and the students can can take it as the source of learning. Okay, the next one is assessment. In the end of the unit, the teachers need to do assessment in order to measure the students' understanding towards the material, towards the lesson. So the teacher has something that can be used as parameter, or something that can be used for taking the next decision, the next step that the teachers need to do. What the teachers need to do next is by continuing to the next lesson, or even hold it maybe, because the students don't get the purpose of the study, so the teachers need to explain again, to re-explain the material. Okay, the form of the test. There are test and non-test, and it can be form of multiple choices or essay and practice, direct practice maybe. And the tools that can be used from the teachers is evaluation sheet and observation sheet. So, and the additional what is that assessment that can teachers use is soft skill, because in a cooperative learning the what is that the students need to interact with their teammate, so their soft skill can also be scored as the additional assessment. Sorry, the additional score. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, boys and girls, we're going to do a stick it together activity today to see if we can come up with some better options. So these are all examples of how we can have this dialogue in our head so that when we feel that negative train coming down the tracks, we can redirect it into a more positive direction. So I want you to turn and talk to your partner and decide which one of these do you really connect with and why. Let's take about 2 minutes to do that. It really wasn't until I got into the classroom and saw the value of collaboration that the one who is doing the talking is doing the learning. And so if the children are discussing, oftentimes they're able to articulate a skill or a path to mastery that I haven't even thought of. And they do it in a kid-friendly way. And when they share that with one another, it can be very powerful. So when I had that aha moment, I thought, gosh, I need to find more ways with structure to put these opportunities in place in my classroom. Who would be willing to share which bubble they really connected with and why? Truman?
I chose number 1 because sometimes I don't like what I'm telling myself, like when there's like a test that I'm struggling on, and I usually try to change that as hard as I could so I could feel positive, because it's more pleasant to feel positive during a test than be negative about yourself.
Very well said. Okay, gosh, you guys are phenomenal. So our big essential question for our growth mindset stick it together is, what can you say instead of, is this good enough? Is it good enough just to get by, or is it good enough because it's my very best? So there's 2 ways to look at that question, and I'll let you choose which way you want to look at it, okay? So your groups, and as always, you may sit anywhere in the room that you like. We have the Never Give Up group. We have the We Can Do It group. We have the Train Our Brain group. We have the We Like a Challenge group. And we have the Effort Equals Success group, okay? Let's have the Never Give Up come on up and grab your sheet. You need a pencil. You can find a space in the room where you're comfortable. Grouping students is a delicate balance of academic needs, personalities, where we are that day. And so I have to really think about who can work together well, who's going to challenge and push and say, we need to bump up the rigor of that vocabulary, and who's going to sit back and say, you guys do that. We need to make sure that we have folks that will say, well, what do you think? And I'll just make a small recommendation. If you want to maybe underline a phrase or 2 on each post-it that you can use in your best answer, it's going to help make sure that you included something from everyone, Okay, so we all feel valued. Is that a strategy you think you can do? Okay. I oftentimes ability group for the small reading group time because I need to be able to challenge students who are ready to move forward, but then reteach skills that perhaps students didn't get. So sometimes in the lesson they're in very different places. And so having that ability group allows me to enrich and support depending on the group.
And this means there are two beginnings. Everybody has a part in that.
Random grouping is not always the most successful way to go. People tend to gravitate towards their best friends, and that may not be academically the best choice because they're talking about sleepovers, because they have that close personal relationship, and so it shifts from the academics to the personal, and that can pull the whole group off task. So I like to be meaningful and mindful about my grouping.
You can also tell yourself this is good because you always need to believe that you get the answer right.
Okay, and what happens if you don't? Is it the end of the world?
No, you can persevere next time.
You can always say, I'll work more hard next time and maybe I'll get it.
Mistakes are good because then they can help you understand and learn from it.
You should have that.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. See, talking it through, you guys came up with some really good stuff. Do you guys feel like you're able to contribute well?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. Giving them time to reflect. How do I assess this? It's a wonderful way for them to learn to collaborate, but it takes a lot of time to set something like that up. They need to understand the expectations in the classroom. They have to know their roles. They have to be able to have positive conversations with one another.
Let's start with Rex's. You could say, I'm going to keep trying.
And you know, when you collaborate, sometimes you have to give in, and sometimes that's difficult for children in 4th grade. So that's a skill that we have to build to get to the beautiful thing that we had today, that gorgeous collaboration.
Alright, in this video, First of all, teacher explain the material for conversation dialect, and after teacher explains the material, teacher does a question and answer activity. Like this. Yes. And the teacher asks students about the material that has not been understood, and the student answer the question, and after that the teacher correct the students' answer that are not correct, like this scene. And after the scene, the teacher creates discussion groups, like groups never give up, we can do it, train our brain, we like a challenge, effort, success. And after creates discussion group, and student work on duty by discussing, interacting, like this. discussing, interacting, and sharing opinions and thoughts with each other, like this. And after that, teacher supervise and control the way students learn. Like this way. And teacher together with other students discuss the material being discussed. Like this. And after that, teacher asks student to explain the result of the discussion that has been carried out, like this. Okay, it's enough for me.
Okay, next, my name is Nurhaziliana and PM 016. I want to explain about conclusion. The first conclusion is cooperative learning is a teaching method in which pre-students work in small groups to help each other learn learning material. From the description of the above discussion, it can be concluded that cooperative learning is learning that emphasizes the aspect of cooperative among its members, where there is a positive dependence, interaction, accountability, and individual skill in group processing. And the second conclusion is the purpose of cooperative learning is to improve academic learning outcomes, accept individual difference, and develop social skills. Now, the learning objectives are also adjusted in that the learning objectives are to acquire knowledge and educate students. So, the objective of cooperative learning are to improve academic learning outcome, acceptance of diversity, and the development of social skills. And the third conclusion is characteristics of cooperative learning include positive independence, individual responsibility, face-to-face promotive interaction, appropriate collaborative skill, group processing, heterogeneous groups. And the last conclusion is the teacher's role in cooperative learning is as a facilitator, mediator, director, motivator, and evaluator. And the cooperative learning system can be concluded as follows. 1. The teacher explains the learning objective and prepares students to be ready to learn. And 2. Presenting information to students verbally. And 3. Provide explanation to students about the procedures for forming a learning team and help groups make an efficient transition. And 4. Helping learning teams as long as students do their work. And 5. Test the knowledge of students about various learning material or groups present their work. And the last, prepare a way to recognize individual and group effort and achievement.
Well, guys, I think that's all from us, and hopefully it can be very useful for us. If you have any question, just type your question in our Google Classroom class, especially in commentary section below. And thank you for your nice attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.